stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Happy Wednesday. Hi, my lovely Mia Moore Michelle.
Hello, my lover face. How are you?
I am good. Hi, K-Braze. Hi, Delana. Hi, Ava. LFT, beautiful lady. I Combat That Price. ATS. We love the intro. I'm sure Christine will be very happy to hear.
We jam to it every time. Can't help it.
No, I'm always. Hi, Ava.
Ava.
Jane Doe. Oh, lovely Jen Lou.
Jen Lou's in the
Hi,
house.
Margaret. Jen Lou's in the house.
I was watching a little bit of Long Crime, and they said Jen from YouTube, and the first person I thought of was Jen Lou because it was the trial. Yeah.
Was it her that they were talking about?
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out.
I thought maybe it was like when they were doing like their Q&A stuff, and like she was asking some questions that were like stumping people.
Yep.
Hi, Peach Jam.
Hey, Peach Jam.
I am Christy. Hi, Joe. Hi, Dina.
What
Hi,
up,
Connie?
Joe? Connie.
What up?
What up, Joe?
LFT. Okay, so I guess I should say first and foremost, I have some construction going on at my house. So if you hear some crazy like banging in the background, there's not really much I can do about it. I'll do my best to mute like quickly, and Michelle can take over. Hi, Search and Rescue Mom. Combat That Price. Crazy Mama.
Dina.
So hopefully the sound doesn't come into the office, but you never know.
Oh, Jen said it wasn't.
And then as soon as they start banging on stuff, then the dogs go crazy, and I'm like,
you feel like everything just starts rumbling. I know this house does.
I'm ready for it to be over. Hopefully this week it'll be done, and I can have one of my bathrooms back.
Yeah,
premeditated.
You'll be happier when it's done. I promise. You'll be extra happy when it's done.
I will, but it's tough. So it's Wednesday already, and I feel like we haven't been on here since Friday, which is way too long. And I apologize for the lack of continuity, but it's just been crazy around here. So my daughter is in gymnastics, and she has gymnastics competition season. So that's been kind of taking over my life at the moment. And she had a competition this weekend down in San Diego. And then she really likes that I make her these videos that put all of her stuff together. And so then I've been working on those. Obviously, we know Aiden Fucci, what happened with that. So we did this live on Friday. And Aiden Fucci come Monday morning takes a plea deal. So it's like, okay, there goes that trial, which is actually, I mean, it's better for her family.
I agree.
I think it was the right choice on his part. But I mean, I was looking forward to the trial. Looking forward to is like such a stupid word. I was trying to think of like, let me backtrack a second. So I was actually going to put up this like a poll and be like, well, what's your favorite trial? What's your favorite case? And I couldn't bring myself to find the right words because I'm like, how's it your, you know what I mean? Like, how's it your favorite when like somebody, like the trial is because somebody died? Like,
so horrific happen, but we are true crimers.
Like, that trial and like the family, I'm like, I can't even make that sound right.
Mm-hmm.
So
in our world, it sounds weird.
Right, because I'm like, there's obviously victims, and so say somebody's family sees this poll and they're like, oh, your favorite trial is where my loved one was killed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't wrap my mind around how to make that happen.
Yeah.
What case is pulling you in the most? That's a good way to do it.
There we go. Yes. There we go.
What case fascinated you the most? I see. I was going through all these different things, and I was like, what case intrigued you the most?
Intrigued you
Okay,
the most?
I'll try again, because I was like, I want to know like what cases like you guys are interested in, kind of where you guys all like started watching true crime on YouTube. Like I didn't watch true crime on YouTube until Watts. So I kind of was like interested in like where everybody kind of came from, and then I was like, I can't figure out the right wording, and then I just walked away from it. Hi, Shmita.
Shmita. Hey, Brandy.
How
Welcome.
about what is the most interesting trial? Like what is the most interesting trial? Yeah, I could do that one.
Yeah.
I like intrigued.
Yeah. And same, like we were curious about his defense. I wanted to know all of those details, sadly. We were so wrapped up into that case, and to know a lot, everything that did go down that day, and we just wanted to know a little bit more on that end. But for me, Summerwell's
case brought you here. Well, Joe said Watts is the OG.
It is true.
Teresa, but what case did you start following on YouTube? Did you start watching Casey Anthony on YouTube? Because that wasn't a thing then, was it? I don't think so. I mean, I watched it. I recorded that trial and watched it. Summer Wells.
Connie, are you hitting your top right corner? Like, are you on your phone or on your laptop?
Watts is a cuss word. I like it. Roxanne.
There she goes.
It's Roxanne. Hi, Allie.
Hey, Allie. How are you, love?
So my first case that I would say I ever took a deep dive into was probably OJ.
It was OJ? Wow.
Probably OJ.
Yeah.
Like I recorded that on VHS. That's old school. Like I recorded that stuff on VHS.
Holy shit. I can't beat that. No way. There's no way.
And,
I'm trying to think of my...
I don't know why, but I've always been into, I mean, my dad was a cop, so I've always been into true crime anyway. But I think that I probably got more interested in it because we saw OJ drive by when he was in the white Bronco. Okay. Well, his butt was driving, but yeah. So we ran down the street because we knew he was coming, and we knew we would be able to see him from where I was at my friend's house where she lived. If you go down the end of the street, it's got this little hill, and then it has like the fencing for like the freeway. So we knew that he was going to be coming. So we ran down the street so we could see him.
Like, so you actually saw him, like the Bronco go by.
Well, we didn't see him, but we saw the Bronco drive by. Oh yeah. Oh. Well, I mean, slowly. Yeah, we watched it go. Slowly. So, but I mean, I was freshman in high school.
Right, Brandy might have jumped on there.
I think it was early high school. So, and then I VHS that whole thing, that whole trial.
Wow, T. Wow. I remember it, but I don't think I was into it.
Joe didn't follow. You didn't watch case until the Netflix came out.
Me too. I'm with Joe. Yes, Netflix.
You came
that
from
documentary
Netflix too.
I did. Fucking effing Watts. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
I would say that I followed other trials and I watched like a lot of crime shows and whatnot, but the next trial that I would say I deep dived was probably Casey Anthony. I'm trying to think if there was one in between there, but I don't think so. I think I was a lot older by the time I actually got back into true crime. Yeah. Because those are the first two main trials I remember actually paying attention to.
Like actually
and like wanting the details and like looking at things and like trying to like find out who was who and what was what. I would say then that Casey Anthony, I watched anything and everything I possibly could every day.
So you're hooked on that case. That's like your...
on that case. My daughter, and I named my daughter Kaylee.
You did. You totally did.
And I'll tell you right now that I am the first person in the Facebook groups when they're like, I'm having a baby and I'm going to name it Bella and Cece. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Why are you doing that? And then I'm like, oh shit, Teresa, back up.
Me too.
I love that name. And so I love that name and that little girl. I just fell in love with that little girl. So
she was just that little face. Just, I don't know. She'll be captivating forever, for sure.
Yeah, she will.
Oh yeah, Jodi Arias is making her way back around again too.
Oh
know that.
gosh, I know. So I followed that case, but not the trial and not all that. I didn't go that. Wasn't into all of that. I was working all the time at that point. So I knew what was happening, but I didn't deep dive into that.
All you have
You
to
know,
do is listen to that testimony in your eyeballs. You feel like you're just like this. She just goes into every little.
it's crazy.
Yes, yes.
You know who's up for parole at the end of this year?
Who?
Gypsy. C-Dub, I have missed your little blue face.
Yeah, what to see? Hey,
Your blue pink face. I've missed you.
We love you, C-Dub. You know, it's been a few weeks, I think. Jane Doe, yeah, John Bonet caught me too. That was my side piece research, doing what I'm doing.
I researched a lot of John Bonet, but obviously no trial. So, but I did do a lot of research on John Bonet, but I still think that was after I did all that research. I think after I watched Casey Anthony.
After you did the Casey Anthony, I could see that, and then John Bonet would come in. Oh, Scott Peterson.
Scott Peterson. I paid attention while it was happening. Didn't watch trials or anything like that though, but I knew the gist of what was going on. Yeah, Gypsy's up for parole on December 30th of 2023. Or she already got approved for parole. She's actually, her release date is December 30th, 2023. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We absolutely are, Brandy. Absolutely.
I know. She's like, are you all fascinated by missing persons? Yeah, yes, I know. John Bonet still gets me. I did a live with on Kate Does Crime. Mm-hmm. We talked about the John Bonet case with Jen Liu.
Oh, that's
that
cool.
was fun.
I got to check that out because that's like one of my favorite cases. Hey, Corinne.
Oh my God, I've been waiting for two. Cannot believe Barry is a free man. Yeah, I don't know. Suzanne Morphew followed that one very closely. I don't know if he'll ever be back in court for her until there. Yeah, Gypsy Rose. Yeah. I don't know if he'll be back in court ever for her unless they find her, which I don't. Yeah, Gypsy Rose. She was the one whose mom had Munchausen by proxy and made her pretend to be sick for many years, or would give her stuff to make her sick. And she ended up meeting a guy who, oh shoot, I just hit something and moved all my stuff around. What the heck?
Hey, Elaine, how are you?
And she met a guy, and they actually murdered her mom.
Yes.
And I've always had this, I've always felt really bad for her.
Me too. And I get a lot of shit for that somewhat, and I can't help it. I absolutely feel that was in Gypsy's mind, that was a lifetime for her of all of that pain and suffering. And I'm sorry, you cannot, after all of that, expect someone. That's your child, that's your mother, and when you turn around to think all of that, I don't know. I'm not saying she should have thought out to kill her or anything like that, but I don't know how a teenager would react to thinking her entire life so far has, you know what I mean?
No, I mean, and teenagers are a pain in the ass anyway. Yeah. So it's like, imagine one that you've now trapped and have made her lose everything she ever had. Yeah, she's definitely a product of her environment. It's one of the best ways to put it. So I always felt really bad for her. I thought that she probably needed more counseling than she ever needed prison. But I've watched her interviews and stuff, and I'm actually kind of excited that she's going to be out in the world. I don't think she's somebody that is going to go and just on this murderous rampage and start taking out other people. I think that she had to basically get rid of her captor in almost a self-defense kind of way. And I know other people disagree because unaliving is unaliving and it is what it is, but
I agree.
Okay. So I'm glad that a lot of you agree with me. That's good. Morphew. Yeah. Alex, they said that they knew where she was, but it was under several feet of snow. And a couple people on Twitter that live right there and they follow that case hardcore. And I follow them on Twitter to see if they ever have updates. And I know they've done a couple searches of things and nothing's come out. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they'll ever find her.
I hate to give up hope, but it's just that feeling that we get when it comes to everything that was surrounding him, all of his resources, when you think about it, and still this is where we are.
Oh God, that guy is a scumbag.
and it just seemed like every resource he had worked back for him, which it worked totally against Suzanne clearly. And I don't see it. I don't see it. Just with the tools, the big ass tools, machinery and whatever. Suzanne could be a whole lot of everywhere. Scary as that sounds.
C-Dub says, I've been 9 to 5ing the Murdaugh trial hardcore, so I've been MIA in other chats. I missed you.
Aww.
We missed you. And I have as well been 9 to 5ing Murdaugh trial. And so let's talk about that a little bit. So there was a bomb threat today. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. My channel's probably just going to get shut down right now. So
we got to go home today.
But like, what in the world is going on with this case? I got to pull up the poll real quick because I got to see where you guys are at. Have you guys voted in the poll? Vote in the poll. Blah, blah, blah. Vote in the poll, please.
Poll. Hey, exploited innocence. How are you?
Right now, it's at 67% that the jury is going to find Alex guilty. 4% said not guilty. 29% said hung jury. But I know somebody in here was like, I voted guilty, and it made me select hung jury.
The thread feels suspicious to me.
That trial is so damn boring. Some of it is. Some of it's pretty boring. But so I have the pleasure of being on the West Coast. So I get to start a couple hours behind when I get up and get able to like sit down and actually watch it. So I watch it on 1.5. It makes it a lot less boring, Joe. I promise you. They're talking much faster and you have to actually pay attention sometimes.
Yeah, you have to be on it then. But I feel the same thing.
I'm like, wait a minute. Did they just say what I think they said? And then I have to actually go slow it down.
No, but then your brain starts feeling like it's on like 1.5 or 1.75, and that's never good. If I listen to too many,
I watch everything fast.
I do, but then that's why I feel like I'm like this.
Everything fast.
I take in everything so fast that it's like after that, I don't know.
Well, there is, and then there was a couple things that I'm like, wait a minute, when did they say that? Because I don't remember that. Oh, thanks, Corinne. Thanks for becoming a member.
Oh, thank you, Corinne. You're welcome.
Crazy Mama said I haven't even watched it yet.
I'm
ATS watches the highlights. It's probably worth it to just watch the highlights. I like watching the interactions of the witnesses and the attorneys, and I like all the nuances behind it though too, because I like to learn why they say certain things. Like there was so much hearsay happening in this trial, and nobody said hearsay like at all, and I was like, I'm very confused. Then all of a sudden today, like there's been like 10 hearsay objections, and I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute.
CBK.
The accents make it hard. The caretaker was probably the hardest one to listen to, but you could see that she was broken, and it felt really sad. But it was very hard to understand what she was saying, and I don't know if the jury got that or not.
Yeah, she was very, very nervous. Her voice was literally, I think, between being upset and being, in one of the biggest high-profile murder trials there is, especially where she's from, she's a part of.
Now you're on television, and you're the lunch lady, and you take care of people.
Right.
Hi, Erez. Hi, Jeannie. LFT said that I'm hooked. I think you were actually hooked on this case long before I was saying.
LFT's been hooked since the day it happened. I can promise you that. She knows everything. She has this case completely covered.
What would be interesting is if you listen to the caretaker with like subtitles, what it would think she was saying. Because it was a mess. But terrible for that lady. She was probably the most emotional that I actually felt for her.
Yep. I caught hers right before we came on, and you could. She said it. She said that they were a great family to work for. She said, she took care of the mom at the home though. So it was like she was describing Buster and his girlfriend.
Her mom is still alive. I wonder if she takes care of her still. Did they ask her that? Who takes care of her now?
I only watched the highlighted part. So if they
I don't know where she's at.
Hi, Diane Marie.
Teresa said, I have several images of Morphew's home septic system dug up in 2020. CBI has images. Think the state of Colorado should attempt to dig up Puma Path House septic. Tyson Draper saw Barry soaking wet. It's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeannie, yes, there was a bomb threat. They had to clear out the courthouse, and they'll be back at 2:30 Eastern. Allie said, I can't force myself to be interested in it.
I'm trying, Allie. I am trying hard.
Well, so I wasn't overly interested in it, except for I knew that a lot of people were like watching this. This is before the trial happened, but it's so, there's so many moving pieces to this case. It's very similar to like moving parts in Vallow Daybell, in my opinion. I mean, different types of pieces, but just a lot of moving pieces. So it was hard because this was kind of all happening at the same time, and I was really hooked on Vallow Daybell. And I couldn't wrap my mind around two that had all these moving pieces around it. Like you can typically kind of cover one that's kind of crazy deep, and then you can kind of cover a not so crazy deep. It's a very complex case. And I think for me was just like everybody was so adamant. Hi, Crime Sleuthin'. Hi, Karen. Everybody was so adamant when like this trial was starting that this dude is guilty.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's see. And I thought, well, it'll be interesting to watch it from the perspective. Well, and I already think I admitted to you guys I had a bad case of FOMO because I knew people were going to be talking about it, and I was not going to have a clue what was going on. So I was like, all right, I have to do some research and see this. And so as I started digging around into it, and I was like, okay, it'll be interesting to watch a trial that I actually don't know all the details, and then see what like bombshells come out to the people who do know all those details. Like, oh nope, we already knew about this. Nope, we didn't know about that. You know what I mean? Like this is new to us, but because it's all basically new to me. So it's been interesting that way. And going into it without a predetermined, this man is absolutely guilty. I am not convinced yet by the prosecution that he is guilty.
Same. I'm with you. I'm not there yet. Not there.
I think it's interesting, like how many people voted guilty that followed this case for the years since it's happened, versus the people like me who didn't and now are trying to figure out what is going to happen. I don't think the prosecution has given. I don't think they've given enough yet. Obviously, they're not done. They're still not done. I know I say that every time, but I don't. Karen said that the prosecution is not doing a good job tying all this to June 7th. Maybe the good things are yet to come. Okay. That's actually what I totally agree with. And I feel like because they're not tying it in, the jury's going to sit there and go, we're not sure why this is important, and not pay attention to it.
Yeah, I agree. And his defense does a very, very good job at countering everything that they do try to make a point out of. They tear it apart. They do. Everything I've caught so far, I cannot say that I feel like that they're doing a bad job either. I don't. His defense.
They're not doing a great job. Jim is very
versus what they were saying that he was coming up with. I don't think they're doing as bad as I heard that they were going to do.
No, I don't think so either. And they're doing okay. So the defense for me is doing an okay job, because their job isn't to prove he's innocent. It's to prove that the state doesn't have the evidence to prove he's guilty. Right. So they're doing a good job because they're not overwhelming the witnesses on cross. They're not fighting with the witnesses on cross. They're just basically saying, okay, so you do know this, you don't. So, I mean, he's doing a good job that way. I just don't think that there's not those like wow moments that the jury is going to remember.
I agree.
And I think you have to have those. And one of the things that the prosecutor is doing, or one of the prosecutors that is doing, that should have been an objection, in my opinion, and they haven't objected to once, and he does it all the time, is he repeats their answers. And he doesn't always repeat their answers correctly. So he'll ask the witness a question, he'll repeat what they say, and now it's being said twice to the jury. So not only was it said once, it's being said twice. And that is a great tactic.
That is
but they're not objecting to it. So you don't need to, he doesn't need to sit there and repeat them. The defense should be objecting to that, because now the jury's hearing those things twice and getting these wow moments that the defense isn't delivering. And hopefully they'll deliver something when they have their own, because they have all their own witnesses that are going to go up there. But there's nothing yet that I'm like, yeah. And I know people are like, I'm so glad that the financial stuff came in. I think the financial stuff was really stupid for the prosecution to bring in.
I agree with you there too. I caught that last little bit coming in too, and I absolutely agree.
Hi, Janice.
Hey, Janice. I have deep into this case. No, Karen.
Got to get the last chapter to have a bombshell to reveal closing, and hopefully medical examiner will help with the testimony.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know. I'm not feeling it yet. I do. And like Joe was even saying, like, it's boring. Like, I think that as a juror sitting there, it's already very hard. If you guys haven't sat on a jury, it's already very hard to sit there and listen to all the nuances, and then to listen to all the words and shit that you don't know. You don't know what they mean. You don't care what they mean.
Right.
Is, yeah, I totally feel like they muddied the waters with the financial stuff, because I do not think they could tie the financial stuff to the murder the way they're hoping. Maybe they're going to try to come together later and like wrap it all up and put it like in a big, with a big bow on it and be like, now you heard all of these things. But I think without connecting this person's testimony to why this is important for June 7th, I don't. The only person that did do that was on the was when the jury wasn't there, was Mark Tinsley. He's the only one who tried, and he was still kind of confusing for like layman's terms, in my opinion.
Right.
Hi, Karen.
It's our Karen.
I think the prosecution has shown that Alex will do anything for money, but he didn't. I think my issue is he didn't have to do anything for money on June 7th. And their whole thing that like he needed to buy time. Hi, Peyton. That he needed to buy time because, by killing his family, he was going to buy time that they would stop looking at his stuff, and it worked, right? But his dad was dying and ultimately died on the 10th. So he'd already gotten the time. And according to Jeannie, who's like the financial wizard, she'd already stepped back because his dad was dying. So, which he knew and she knew. So he already bought himself the time. He didn't even have to buy himself the time. His dad dying bought him the time. So why does he have to kill them to buy time?
Right. I love how you break these things down.
Well, I don't know. If somebody has a different opinion, I'm totally open for it. This is just where I'm kind of at mentally with the whole thing. The reason was not immediate financial gain on Am's part. It was delaying and obscuring the inevitable disclosure of his cooked financials. Okay, so I don't disagree, except for the cooked financials were not even being exposed on June 7th. They weren't even being exposed necessarily on June 10th. They did not have life insurance policies. Yeah. That's another thing.
That was very interesting.
He wasn't, the only thing he was going to get, if anything, was the properties that were in his wife's name. He would have those.
I agree. I
don't know why this keeps like bugging, but it won't stop. So I'm moving it over. It's obvious that Creighton Waters loves all the financial stuff. Let me see. Mallory's family lawyer said it best. No one would make a claim on him if his family was murdered. But his family was murdered, and they all did make claims. There was already claims.
Yep.
So that's not true. They all did. And it didn't stop Jeannie from digging into all the financials at work. Most of it would probably have gone to his wife. I don't know. I don't have the paperwork on that, but assuming, standard would be that his, because his wife was still alive and she was going to need care. So they probably would have had it in some type of trust or estate that it would provide for Libby until, she was no longer alive, and then it would probably be dispersed. I don't know though, if they had anything that was set to go to the kids, but there wasn't anything with him that was like so killing Paul doesn't. Okay, so here's my other issue. I'm just telling you all the reasons that I have reasonable doubt. You guys can agree or disagree with me, and it's totally fine. Killing Paul doesn't stop the civil suit against him where he has to give up all of his financials. It only stops the case against Paul. So he still would have to turn all of that over, because the civil case was against Buster, was against Alec, was against Paul, was originally against Randolph as well, but they dropped that. And then it was also against the liquor store. So killing Paul does not get him out of a civil suit, because he's still being sued for allowing Paul to drive this boat, knowing his history and whatnot, and that his other son is the one who gives him the driver's license, which is why he's being sued. And then it's under the boat is Alex.
Okay. It's his. Oh, okay.
See, I don't know. I'm not saying that he didn't do it. I'm not saying the guy is innocent. What I'm saying is I do not feel like, for me, I have too many loose ends to be able to sit there on a jury and say, yeah, this man is guilty.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Me, so.
Like, I'm not reasonable doubt guilty yet. I'm just. That's why I think it's very interesting, the people that have actually filed this case from the beginning, that they're highly set on that he is actually, and I most definitely take into that too, because again, I don't know too much. You definitely, this comes to you a little bit. I just think that there's just not enough yet.
Maybe he thought the jury would go easy on him if his fam was killed out of revenge, because jury would have been his community.
His community, right.
Well, it's a civil case, though. So he was being civilly sued. Paul was the only one that had been arrested, because, I mean, he was never even taken to jail for the boating while intoxicated. Boating under the influence. I think it was a BUI.
Yeah, Rexy, that's what the Murdaughs were like gods in that area, huh?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I just, like I said, I don't know. I just don't have it yet. Do they still have jurors in wrongful death?
Oh yeah, they do, actually. I forgot about that. They do.
I just don't know that it would have mattered.
Genie for VP. We see you guys in chat. You're funny.
I just don't see, it doesn't tie together for me.
Yeah, no, not yet.
I think that they're setting up a very great move for the defense. If they do this, I wouldn't be surprised. The defense is going to say, because this is where my reasonable doubt comes in. You've got Alex on this video. Everybody's now confirmed that that's his voice on this video that Paul took, right? So we know it's him that's there. He's a drug addict, and trauma does crazy things to your brain that you don't remember all the details. So when he gives all these specific things, it's because he doesn't remember. Yeah. He was on drugs, he had just, nodded off for a little while. He doesn't remember all the things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Aries, we're with you, babe. We're so sorry about your friend too.
One of my best friends when I was younger committed suicide. It was very hard. It was very, very hard. The jury will hear more evidence. We need the icing on the cake to finalize the proof. Time will tell. Sometimes the last witness can unveil the last puzzle piece. Very true. And that's why I said, yes. I know they've got a long way to go. So
I'm hoping to see some of that. Michael Gunn's voice is amazing.
Says, what about Michael Gunn? Talk about yum. The curious is you have to admit that Michael Gunn's voice is amazing. And I hear people like his hair as well.
His hair. That's funny.
I think at this point, everybody believes it was him that was there. And I don't think they're going to end up denying that it was him that was there. I think they're going to say that he was there. He just, it was something he forgot. He was under the influence of opioids, and he just, didn't remember trauma. It was traumatic. The medical examiner should testify. I know the coroner is on the list. You want me to share about my friend, or share something about a theory? I don't know where that came in at.
My camera every time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you, Aries. I'm with you.
Phoebe, this is the whole case itself is very circumstantial, obviously. And circumstantial cases, you have to be able to infer that all these things are connected. And if all these things are connected, that means this person is guilty. That's basically what you're coming out with. I cannot infer all these things are connected. So he was there for 30 or 40 minutes. He says that. Okay, Well, he was there for 15 to 20. Well, he had to drive back and forth still. So does that account for the time? I don't know. I have to look at the timeline. So I'm like, is he saying, I wasn't, I left, I can't believe it. I left for 30 or 40, 40 minutes. And this happens in this small amount of time that I was gone. I don't know. And then I think that the thing about paying for the wedding, I want to know how many times he's offered crazy things like that to people.
Yeah.
Because he seems like he's just like, here, yeah, you guys just have fun, just do whatever, and I'll help out any way I can. Like, in his money way.
Right, in his financial means.
Yeah, so I'm like, is that a common thing for him? If it's not common, I find it more interesting. Is it common? Don't know.
Hey, Milmag.
Oh, Karen, yes. Cousin Eddie, when Cousin Eddie testifies, I am looking forward to seeing which attorney does his cross and how that goes. Let's see. The Blanca lady that was his housekeeper and had AM help an immigrant in a case that recently has resurfaced, I think is going to be big. Randy M. also involved. CB Kell, I don't even know anything that you're talking about there. So that's something I'll have to look at. He's also never said he changed his clothes at all, but he did. Well, he did. I think the bigger thing is where are the other clothes?
Yep.
Right? That's the biggest question, is what happened to the clothes that he was wearing? Did anybody look for him? Did anybody find him? How hard did they look? Those kinds of things.
Because that would connect all of that. That would make all the timeline is screwed up, Rexy says.
Thank you. We like that you're here.
Yes, Aries. You're always welcome here, and we love you.
That's the other issue. The prosecution hasn't tidied up the timeline. The prosecution is doing a horrible job. Well, because they freaking got so excited. I thought they were doing a great job timeline-wise. They brought in, first responders, 911, They were going down the line. You guys are the ones who met up at the house the next day. You guys are the ones that met up at the house the following day. I thought they were doing a good job. As soon as they were able to get financial stuff in from the slip up on the defense's side, that they they pounced on it.
Yeah.
And I'm almost like, I wonder if the defense did some of it on purpose or if it was really a slip up, because it does really muddy the waters. It really muddies the waters so that they can try to tie it into the finances, but nobody was looking at the finances until September. So why is that? So you're saying that he killed his family, even the people who were talking to like Chris Miller's firm in July. He bought himself 30 days by killing his family? See what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's going to depend on what the jury comes up with. See, in the Murdaugh murder podcast, I can send you the link. It's very interesting. Is that the Mandy Matney's? Because I started it. I was like on episode 8, but she repeats so much stuff. I had a hard time finishing it. But I know everybody thinks like that's like the greatest podcast ever. I'm really a fan of Eric Allen. That's who I really like.
I started a couple of his videos
with the trial. So he's on Instagram and posts some stuff about the trial on Instagram. It ties in the firm and even questions Jeannie's job in the firm, questions everyone in the firm, actually. Okay, I'll look at it. Can you send me that link for that particular one?
Yeah, CB Cal, please. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I think they're getting caught up in the weeds with the financials. Also, what about the secret convo they didn't even ask about? Which secret convo? Are you talking about the secret convo that the defense team had with the caretaker, or are we talking about a different secret convo? I feel like someone else killed them to send Alec a message, and he's pissed off a lot of people. Well, that's exactly where my reasonable doubt comes in.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing a good job, and the prosecution is doing a good job setting up the defense to have the opportunity to come in and be like, look, he's in debt, right? He's got all these issues. He's got all this, all this money that he owes all these people. He's got now people who hate him because they think that he's lying to them about how much money he doesn't have. He's got the people who think that he's responsible for the fact that Mallory Beach died. He's got all these people who hate him. we don't even know. Are they going to try to bring in like that? Does he have a loan shark? Because nobody knows where all this money is. His account balances were very minimal for somebody who made millions of dollars.
And somebody
So
did some shady things, right? I mean,
also made trips to the Bahamas. So let's just, we can say what we want to say.
oh, okay.
But they're setting him up. So like to say like this guy was on drugs. This guy, was in extreme debt. And if he was there and he doesn't remember being there, it's probably because of the trauma of seeing his family killed by, cousin Eddie or whomever.
I agree.
Oh, Peach Jam, this is another great point. So they keep touching all the flippin' evidence without gloves. They're touching it. They're moving it around. It is driving me flippin' mad, because if this ends up on appeal and they want to test any of that evidence, it's all contaminated, one. But two, this is another thing they're doing that's helping the defense. The defense from the very first testimony is discrediting the entire CSI team, basically. Anybody, all the forensics, the first responders, anybody there, for not keeping the crime scene nice and tidy and not handling the evidence correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have all your forensic people that are up there are all pulling out their gloves, and here you have prosecution who's like, nope, here, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. Oh, we'll hand it over here. And what?
I like when the hands come out, because that means she's got a really good point coming, and that's when she was doing this. This started happening. I'm like, yep, I'm just locked in for it. Let's go.
Melmac, Eric Allen, and that's the name of his channel, is
Yeah.
EricAllen, Eric Allen. And it's like 8 or 9 episodes. They're like 20 minutes each, but he's local, so all the footage is his own, and you can see, he just puts the story together really well and not biased, in my opinion. Yeah, but he wasn't on drugs. There's zero evidence of that. Well, there is evidence of that. There is evidence that he was on drugs.
Yeah.
He went to rehab.
Yep.
And that's all that matters.
And it's documented.
That's the evidence that they need. So the prosecution's going to have to try to say, well, he went there to try to cover his ass.
Yeah.
But then you can't say what he told Chris Miller about stealing money is true, but what he told Chris Miller about being a drug addict is a lie. You can't pick and choose what you think is true and what isn't true.
Yep.
So if what he told Chris Miller is true, then it's true. And if what he told Chris Miller is a lie, then it's all a lie. So then you can't try to admit or have admitted into evidence that he told Chris Miller he stole money,
Mm-hmm.
and then say he wasn't a drug addict. It's not going to work.
Right, Shmita? She's like, you have to make this make sense. It just has to make sense.
Yeah, has to make sense. I don't understand why we have to absolutely open every piece of evidence. Oh my gosh, if they never open another piece of evidence ever, like, I would be totally fine. This is ridiculous. Oh, it just takes forever. That's when I'm really glad that I'm behind and I can fast forward. Because like the bags, like, and they do it right next to the mic.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I feel like the whole admission to drug addiction is to cover his association with big drug money. Ask me. That's where the money went. Very possible.
Mm-hmm.
Evidence not handled properly. You're right. He admitted that he was addicted. Yep. Shmita. So I'm listening while I'm cleaning. I love hearing T get fired up.
Yep.
ATS cringes when they start opening all the evidence bags. Oh, and that one was really bad. Well, there was 2 of them that were really bad. The lady with the box, that one was really bad. And then the other lady that had the bag, and then there was another bag, and then there was another bag, and there was another bag, and like everybody in the courtroom starts laughing.
Oh, goodness.
That's a lot of money to be spending on drugs for oneself alone. Yeah, no, you'd be in the dealer status at that point. You'd be like in the trafficking and the dealer status when you've got money like that invested into drugs. That's not typically like personal use type of drug addiction.
Yeah. Or he's buying it for a whole lot of people too.
Caroline, I don't disagree that he was or wasn't an addict. What I'm saying is I don't think that you can say that one thing is true, one thing isn't, and you get to be the the judge of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's either he what he said was true, or so he's telling this part's the truth and that part's a lie. I don't know. Just because the police were afraid of him and didn't do a good job doesn't mean that he didn't do it, and that the state does a terrible job doesn't help. Right. I agree.
I agree too.
Yes, Teresa, they threw away. The guy was like, you know, can I just like toss this, or like, is there a trash can, or like, where do you want me to put it? I'm like, that's evidence.
Wait, what?
So they had like the shoes were wrapped up in this, you know, bag so that anything like that dried and fell off, you know, all the particles. I think it was the shoes. Don't quote me on if it was the shoes, but I think it was. A piece of evidence was that, and it had like the debris that was coming off of the item. And so in the paper, it had like all the crunchy like dirt particles and stuff. And the prosecutor's like, oh, can I just, you want me to put this like over here? Can I just, you have a trash can, I can just throw it away? And like bring over the trash can, and they like dump all the particles into the trash.
Oh no. Oh no.
And I was like, I get it. Like, okay, so what, we're proving that, you know, he had these shoes on, and then everybody's like, they were wet. Everybody like freaked out. They were wet. Their shoes were wet. And I'm like, those are the shoes he was wearing, and it was raining outside, and they were standing outside. Like, of course his shoes were wet. So I don't know, like, everybody, his shoes were wet means that he was over by that water that was flowing, and you could hear like spraying in the kennel water, you know, because at the very beginning of the courts, they were talking about how there's this puddle of water next to Paul's body, you know, because somebody was basically cleaning out. So now his shoes are wet, or that he went and used that water to clean all the blood and stuff off of him, and his shoes were wet. But I'm like, it was raining, so his shoes being wet they're not going to test. Yeah. They didn't test if it was rainwater or if it was kennel hose water.
Right. And all that little dirt that's just, you know, they're just getting rid of left and right because it's trial now. I guess it's fine. Apparently, I don't like that either.
I don't know what that was, but it went down.
It's just a cat, and there's going to probably be a couple more things coming down, so we'll just leave it.
Yeah, they threw all that debris away. I couldn't believe it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this, and I know I talked about this on the last live, and now there's more evidence that's come out about it. So now I'm really wanting to talk about it, which is why the title of the live is The Raincoat. This raincoat is really bugging me.
The raincoat. Yep, the raincoat.
I can stream the trial, but then, you know, I like to talk a lot. So I don't know if you guys would like that. Are they back in yet? Because they should be coming back like in about 3 minutes. The shoes in the TikTok of him in blue, he's wearing the Sperry's. Yes. Okay. So we'll talk about the shoes, then we'll go to the raincoat. So the shoes are interesting because if you listen to the caretaker, she says he's wearing those shoes when he comes to her house.
Right.
The canvas ones, cloth ones is what she says. He's not wearing bright yellow running shoes. He's wearing the Sperry's is what she calls them. And she says they're like the cloth shoes, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to say he kills them. He goes back, and then he changes his shoes. But she doesn't see anything on his shoes whatsoever. So he changed all of his clothes, but put his cloth Sperry's back on?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Karen. She likes you talking through the trial.
Well, that's nice. Other people probably wouldn't. They'd be like, you need to stop talking, you need to listen.
You got it, TV Cow. I'll check it right now.
All right, so what's with the shoes? If he's wearing these cloth Sperry's, they'd have to have blood on them if he was the one who did this, right? And then when does he change into these tennis shoes? They're like a boat shoe. Here, I'll pull it up. Maybe I won't because my screen doesn't want to work.
ATS, I am with you. And you still probably can pinpoint this because you're amazing. You got it, TB Cal. I'm in there now.
Okay, oh, here's a men's one. Okay, let me bring this up.
Hey, Curious Cat. How are you? Oh, crime sleuth, and we're going to get there. No worries. We're going to get there.
Let me get rid of the comment. Ah, shoot. So like that's a cloth Sperry. Like there's women's. They have like leather ones. They have cloth ones. It's like a boat shoe. It's what most people would call a boat shoe.
Such a Murdaugh shoe.
Oh, it really is.
It is.
Preppy dress shoes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're typically worn with no socks.
Yep.
Because you're out on the boat, you don't want your socks to get all wet. You know.
And this is what was wet, or this is what he changed into, they're saying.
No, so this is what he changed in. No. This is what the caretaker says that he went when he went to visit his mom that night. These are the type of shoes he was wearing.
Okay.
Now he's wearing these types of shoes. Let me pull up the other video. I don't think I didn't put that one on my channel. So.
And LFT, I wrote that down too. I'll check that out tonight.
Yeah.
She gets me every time.
Alex.
Right, Karen? It's totally his shoe.
This one.
They're called Hey Dudes Crime Sleuthing? Okay.
This one. So he has on the dark ones here. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
The men's and women's soccer teams are finally being paid equally. But why stop at soccer?
He's got dark ones on right there. So that's oh my gosh, what the heck? This news site sucks.
I know. They pop up.
Oh man, now it's the good one.
The men's and women's soccer team.
Oh no, I'm over that. Anyway, so he's got the dark ones on, like a dark pair like this, like over here, like this one. And she says he's wearing them when he goes to visit the mom. Well, he goes to visit the mom after the murders.
Right.
So when does he put on? Oh shoot, I'm trying to get rid of that. When does he put on these? He has like bright fluorescent orange, green, yellow, neon tennis shoes is what gets taken in, and they're wet. I think that's a big deal. I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but I think that's a big deal.
Yeah. And those that would be real. That
the video of Paul and M walking out, but he's entering house in his video. He has on shorts, loafers, and the blue shirt with T under it. Okay, hold on. The video of Paul and Maggie walking out, but he's entering the house in his video. He has on, I'm not sure I understand that. Maybe I'm just not reading it right. Because Alex not walking out, but he has on those. I think it's the things that he didn't say that are going to get him in trouble. He didn't say he was at the kennels. He didn't say he changed his clothes, and he didn't say he brought a tarp over. Yeah, but in the scheme of things, would any of those be important except for the kennels?
Right. The kennels are absolutely.
And what LFT is saying that I think she's saying is that he already has on, he has the t-shirt on underneath. And I know that they're like all big on this laundry detergent stuff, but I hate to say it, like my clothes smell like laundry detergent at the end of the day.
Yeah, so am I.
I wear them all day, and they smell like laundry detergent.
Yep.
So I don't know what that like. That's like an overwhelming smell, maybe because it was freshly laundered. Is what the only thing I can come up with it. But like when I take my clothes off, I still smell laundry detergent on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Heavy too.
No, it's okay, LFT.
No, LT, you've been amazing on this case. Thank you. Like
yes,
honestly.
no, absolutely. He's in penny loafers. Okay. Hold on. You want to send it to Michelle, and then we can see exactly what you're talking. What video you're talking about? You're talking about the one at the front door.
I have my phone, babe. If you want to send it.
Crime Sleuthin'. You're like a freaking commercial. You're gonna get a sponsor. You better stop that.
Up to
What
3
kind of
weeks.
laundry? I use all. Stain lifter, that's all.
I used to use the all free and clear when the kids were little. Yeah. Used to be my stuff.
All right, so why did he go visit his mom when his dad was terminal in the hospital dying, and originally told Maggie to come to the hunting cabin to go with him to the hospital? I also don't know if they planned on going to the hospital that night. I mean, it was already late. They didn't eat dinner until like 8 o'clock or 7:30. I mean, so they're out doing all the stuff that we see in the Snapchat where he's got the tree and whatnot. Okay, that's a good point, Jeannie. I'll give you that. Jeannie's always got me on my toes with like thinking totally opposite of me, and I love it. You don't wear your clothes out in the humidity of the Carolinas and sweat and still smell like soap, not with the way he sweats.
I'll take that.
All right, all right.
I'll take that. Yeah, I could take that. Didn't even, yeah. You consider the weather and all of that going on.
We got to switch you up. You got to get out of the tide. Okay, it's HBO doc. The video footage of him walking out the door, P and M individually. The one of AM is walking in the door wearing that stuff. But do we know the time? I did see that. But do we know the time? Because I've never been able to find that video online. So if you have it, I would like to see it. I don't know why that video wouldn't be out somewhere else. His dad was in the hospital in another city, which is why I think that, so, and Maggie obviously wasn't driving back to the beach house. So were they just going to go see his dad in the morning? He does call his dad, who doesn't answer. Oh, I also use Downy. I use Downy pellets. So
Yeah.
that might help. I hate
They're
to.
my favorite.
Nighttime caregiver never talked to Alec before. She also said he never visited on her shift. Right. Well, why wasn't there? This would have been a good question. How many times was his dad in the hospital and his mom was going to be there without his dad?
Hey, Brittles. How are
Hi,
you,
Brett.
honey?
So that would be a question I would want to know. Does he not visit? Because the purpose of his visit is because his dad is in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
How many times has his dad been in the hospital to make it so that it's not a normal thing for him to visit when his dad's in the hospital? Does that make sense? That's what I want to know. Okay, so now I want to talk about this raincoat and this tarp. So, and we're talking about the caretaker anyway. So the caretaker in September ends up mentioning that Alec had walked in with this tarp. Okay, now I don't want to say the wrong thing. Did she say he walked in with the tarp that night, or walked in the next day when he was coming to stay there with the tarp?
Oh, I don't remember.
Gosh.
Wait for chat.
Somebody in chat would probably know. I just don't want to say the wrong thing. I think it's that night, but I'm not sure because they did keep talking back and forth.
Yeah, like I watched it. I just can't
Okay.
remember. Phoebe says no, different day.
It was a different day. Okay. Week later with tarp, I think. Okay, so then what day did? Let me see if it comes up. It was when they were going to stay there, right?
Yep. Not the night of the murders. Tarp was after Dad died on the 10th.
Okay,
Phoebe
thank you. Okay, so then I'm not crazy. I was thinking that. Wait a minute.
And then Jeannie says, wrapped his raincoat.
I don't know about that. I know that you would say that. I don't say that. Wrapped his raincoat that he wore inside this tarp and then separates him.
Yeah.
9 p.m. that night. First she said 8, 8:30, 9:30. Those were her words. Respect Pickles, but he didn't go see his father. I think it was after he came to stay. I think it was too late to go see his father probably, and then they were probably going to drive there the next day. We don't know. Okay, it was after the dad's funeral. Okay, so we've established it was definitely later, so which wouldn't be something important to have to say. Yeah, Crime Sleuth. Well, I know she talks about like that she knows what time it was because of the time frame because of the game show that was on TV, and that's what time it comes on. KW, I think it's an absolute shame that the jurors can't take notes.
Yep, I agree. I don't know how they expect even with all that emotion going on and all the things they have to watch, and everybody, we are humans that way, and we are all just friggin' different. It's just how it goes. So when you're sitting in that box with your fellow jurors and you're trying to take all of this in, how can you accurately and honestly say that in the end, when you are deliberating, that you can go through 6 weeks, 7 weeks of day in, day out of just information, and yeah. Mm-mm. They should absolutely be allowed to take notes.
I believe that Maggie and Paul's was the same day, and then Randolph's was a different day. I don't know for sure, though. Okay, so he brings this tarp in that's all wrapped up and bunched up. So it obviously doesn't have anything necessarily in it at that moment, although Jeannie would say that it's the tarp is actually wrapping up the raincoat. Oh, Brittany, you didn't have to do that. But thank you, honey.
Oh, thank you, Brittles. We love you.
Respect. Yeah, I don't either. There's too much of an opportunity for these. If it was a shorter trial, I would be like, okay, it makes sense. This is going to be a really freaking big, long trial, and now it's just going to be based on what they remember. I mean, they can go back and say, hey, can we review XYZ? Can we see the transcripts for XYZ's, testimony? Whatever they can, but they have to remember to even think that it was important to even ask for it.
Right.
Exactly. Commander Turkey.
Oh, one of our other favorite names.
They are having a trial within a trial, and I think that the prosecutor is happier about that. And I think because they have a better ability to prove he's guilty in the financial crimes than they have of proving he's guilty in the murders. And so he wants to try the financial crimes, which I think is crap.
I agree with you right there, Tay. Right there.
I need all the notes. Screw that. That's like saying you can't take notes in a college class. Oh, okay.
Right.
Court's still not back in session. Okay. They said at 2:30, so a couple of trials within a trial. I think it's going to get lost. I don't think the prosecution's doing a good job of making it make sense. And this is somebody who, like I said, didn't know the trial beforehand or only knew some of the story. Okay, so this tarp. So he supposedly brings in this blue tarp, so on and so forth. And in September, she mentions that he brought in this tarp at some point. Now, so they get a search warrant for the house. My first issue. Why was that the time that they got a search warrant for the house? Why had there not been a search warrant for the house from June, knowing that his alibi was that house? Why would they have not searched that house already? Why wait until September? That's my first issue. Now, they go and search this house. They find a blue tarp that matches the description of what the caretaker said, Miss Shelley said, that he was carrying in. It was the blue tarp. Mm-hmm. They take it into evidence, yet that's not the tarp that's in the courtroom. That's a tarp like the tarp that was found. So where's the tarp that was found?
So they don't have the actual...
I don't know where the tarp is. No idea where the tarp is. The blue tarp. Yep. But I don't know why they're not showing the actual tarp. Because it's gone, I think. And it never got tested for anything. So then they find this rain jacket in a different area. She testifies that she saw the tarp laid out. Now, I know I have a picture of this raincoat. I'll just look that up.
If you don't, I can send you one.
It's going to be on here anyway.
You're up on it.
So I'll just pull it up. Because if this was what was laid out, in my opinion, you'd know this was what was laid out. Yes, it's large. Yes, it's blue. Yes, it looks very similar to the fabric of a tarp. But it has all these things on it. I know that's where they put their stuff on, but you can see this is like all their stuff, but this, like, it has all this is not a good picture to show you. Let me see if I can find a better picture to show you. Okay.
Thank you,
This is the stuff I'm talking about. Okay, so ignore these Ignore IGO, all that. Now it's got this pocket. It's got the opening. That's why I need a different picture because it's got like the hood because it's almost like poncho style. You see what I'm saying? Like take all these other white things away.
Hey, Chris, welcome.
Thank
you.
Here's a better one. Here's one. So you see it's got this big old hood. It's got arms. You see what I'm saying? Like it looks like a jacket.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like a tarp. It's got, and I'm almost positive that's buttons or like a snap button. I don't see out. She says that she saw it laid out on the rocking chair. I don't understand how she would not know it was a jacket if it's laid out. You know what, K-Brace? I literally thought that. I was like, his weight is totally different. But when that defense attorney, when Jim was going really hard at the size, I was like, are they gonna have him try it on? Are they gonna have him try it on? Is it gonna fit? Is it not gonna fit? And I was like, oh, he's lost so much weight, it wouldn't even matter.
Oh, that he did. He did. He really did. Like that looks like a pocket thing. Like, what is that in the middle?
Well, that's the hood. And this is like where it would like wrap around, you know, like to keep it closed. That's what I'm saying. I need a better picture of it. Because to me, I think that she would know that is a jacket. If it's laid out, like if somebody lays out a blanket over my chair versus lays out their jacket over our chair, I know one's a jacket and I know one's a blanket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the tarp.
Same, Curious Cat. I totally agree. I kind of said that a little earlier on.
Oh, I'm not even sharing this with you guys. You guys can't even see what I'm looking at. Why didn't anybody tell me that?
I'm like, because I'm thinking, is she pulling up the picture, but she's just talking through it?
What the heck? Did you guys not even see all when I was saying don't look at the white stuff?
We were just letting you describe it.
Why didn't anybody tell me that?
I thought you were still looking for a better picture, and then you were just looking at the picture.
Gosh, no, I was totally showing you guys pictures. What the heck, man? I was totally showing you pictures. Here, I was showing you this one where it says you can see. I said ignore all these white things. It has all the letters, but you can see there's the brand. There's a whole pocket. Here's the hood. Here's like the buckle that like goes around your chin.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Just by the way they're holding it, like that would be where the shoulder area would be. Yeah,
so I would know the difference. That's what I was. I can't believe you didn't tell me that wasn't even up there. I'm just over here like, oh yeah, let me show you guys all these pictures. Okay, so this is the tarp.
Okay.
I thought the tarp was laid out on the chair. Exactly. That's exactly my thought. That's my whole point, is that the tarp is laid out on the chair. She's going to know that a jacket is a jacket and a tarp is a tarp.
Oh my goodness.
Looks like one of those coats you'd use for spraying chemicals in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a coat that if I wanted to go hunting in the rain, that's what I would put on, which would explain why it has so much gunpowder residue all over it. She did. Yeah, she seemed very scared. And I know a lot of people, and you might be one, Curious Cat, that thinks she was scared because of Alex. I think that she was extremely nervous and did not even want to be in the situation she was in. And knowing that she's having to testify against this family that she loved, that she cared so much about.
And she's probably getting so much from her community around her, whether it's the good side or the bad side. And she is, she still has to live there. So she's, I could see.
These are the shoes. But this is where I realized I wasn't showing you guys pictures. Well, if you're out hunting and you have this big jacket and you don't want your gun to get wet, why wouldn't you put it inside?
Yeah, I would.
That's what I think. The thing is huge, so it's like my sweatshirt, and I don't want it to get wet. I would put it in there. But when they balled it up, it looked like a tarp. But she said that she saw it laid over the rocking chair, the retirement chair, or something like that. I think that's what they called it. So there are two items in court that are the same color. There is a tarp and a coat. They are the same color. She originally said that, okay, so here's, I guess, my biggest issue. She tells law enforcement that she saw him come in with a rolled up tarp and then saw it later on laid out over the retirement chair, which I'm assuming is like a rocking chair or something. And she saw it laid out. Then They get a search warrant. They go to the house where they find a blue tarp. So exactly, they find what this woman says he had. Why wouldn't they where I was hunting? I'm not a hunter, so I don't know, but I would think that you would. Why wouldn't you?
I was about to
because
say
it's blue?
we might need a
Because it's
local
blue.
or somebody.
Because it's blue. Never mind, that's probably common sense shit right there. But where would you wear it? Certainly not a blue one. Then where would you, firing range? I mean, to me, it makes
Yeah,
sense
what
that
they
you would
would-
wear it, but I guess you're right, because the blue is a common sense, probably wouldn't wear that hunting. So anyway, what was I saying? Okay, so they find the tarp. They find the tarp that they say is what, or she says he brought in the house. They find it. They also find a rain jacket. But they test the rain jacket for all this, like, you know, the gunpowder residue and so on and so forth, but they don't test the tarp.
They don't test the tarp.
They don't test the tarp ever. I don't think you'd wear it inside out. I think that you'd put your gun underneath it.
Right.
And it's
yeah,
also
like,
there's a lot of transfer that could happen as you have it on. Taking it on, taking it off. So I think the biggest thing about this is, why wouldn't you test the item that you actually went there to find?
Mhm.
Well, that's the other thing. They can't tell. They don't even know where the gunshot residue comes from. You can't pinpoint what type of weapon. You can't pinpoint when it was put there. You can't pinpoint who put it there. You don't have any of that. And that's what the defense was actually getting at today is, was this tested for, you know, fingerprints? Was this material tested for fingerprints? You guys didn't test the tarp at all. And now did you test this for fingerprints to see whose it is? One, it's a raincoat that's found in his dad's home, and his dad was a hunter.
What are these typically used for? What like, has anybody from like close to the Murdaughs or whatever that would, or from this lay of the land, should I say, what do they exactly do with suits like this? Do they use them for hunting? Do they use them for boating? Do they use them for, because I could absolutely see him putting on something like this, but I also understand that going hunting, they wear something different because of, you know, the blending in, the camouflage and all that. But is there something that they particularly do in like the Murdaugh world or that part of the world that maybe we can start off there with? That'll make a little bit more sense.
All right, well, let's do some research. Hunters usually wear orange. Yeah, I realized it after I asked the question. I was like, okay, common sense tells me you don't want to wear blue.
But I do see how you could, like what you're saying, where how you could put the gun in there because of how it is. Like, I mean, if I was hunting like that, that's probably how I would do it. It starts raining, I drop the gun in there, and you know. But if these are like, you know, seasoned hunters and like this is like their world and all, this would maybe not be. I don't think this would then be what he would wear. So would it be boating? Would it be like, what would they do with this?
I think you just wear it out in the rain. It's just a rain poncho.
And what, like garden with it? Like, what do you do with it? It's a big ass suit.
Boating. LFT says boating mostly. It's for boating.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's blue.
They do travel. They do travel in boats. Oh, maybe cleaning out kennels.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's another thing, and I'm curious to find out if there's anybody who's going to be able to testify that Alex is the one who bought this raincoat.
Mm-hmm. Right, CB Cal. Right.
Is there a picture of him in this raincoat? Is it his rain? Can they prove it's his raincoat? If he bought it purposely at this time? I don't know. All I know is when they were showing that tarp, they were saying that this is a tarp like that tarp. They didn't. That's not the right words. That's not what they said. I can find it. They were like a like item. You know what I mean? You have to go back and listen to the exact words that they said, but they said it's not. It was not the tarp. And if you noticed, it wasn't all wrapped up in evidence stuff, right? They didn't have to. They didn't have to cut it open 15,000 times. So I don't know where the tarp is.
Oh, the ATV.
That's scary. Dang dog.
Oh, we love Melissa. It's definitely not a Gucci one though, J-Dub. Yeah. Yes, it's a raincoat when hunting. Okay. Hunting overalls jackets. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. And definitely I could see those being worn on some AVT. Can I get that out? ATVs. I agree. I agree. ATS.
Okay, sorry. And man, her bark scares me when it comes out of nowhere. Makes me jump every time. Pisses me off. Hate being scared.
And being scared.
I do. I hate it because it's just like it's so deep. Like she's literally okay. So we've had these guys that are working on the house, and she thinks that she's going to eat them alive. I swear. So she like tries to like get over the fence, and I'm like every day. So she somehow busted open the gate, got it open, and then gets out there to them. Probably makes them piss their pants. I swear, because she's not little, and she sounds like she's gonna eat you alive. She gets out there, starts wagging her tail, and like licking them. I'm like, are you serious right now?
She was like, I was just letting them know. I was just letting them know.
Letting them know, don't come over here. But if I come out there, it's okay. You don't come over here.
Doing his job, doing her job.
It does look, it's very large, but it's a size large. They keep saying it's a size large. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if this is like laid out over a chair, you see it has arms. You see it has a hood. You see it has little buckle things.
Yeah, see, if it's laid out, unless it was just thrown over.
So in Paul's service, it was torrential downpours. Paul's service was June 11th. Randolph Senior's was June 13th. Was Maggie's also June 11th? I thought they were together. CBCO.
Are all these white things on the flip side of this, do you know?
Are what?
Are all the little white?
So what they found was 38 spots, particles, 38 spots basically of gunshot residue inside the jacket.
Inside the
Found 14 spots outside the jacket. Right. So the tarp was found folded up in a plastic container with dishes, and the raincoat was in a different closet. Yes.
I agree, Commander and Turkey. I could possibly see if it was just thrown over. Now, if it's laid out in this, yeah, I can't.
Right. So, but why didn't they test the tarp?
Right.
If the tarp is what she says, and that's what they went there to find, I don't understand why she doesn't test the tarp, or why they don't test the tarp.
Versus them finding this folded. I'm so confused.
If we are so confused, I wonder how the jury is doing. Yep, that's exactly what I think. I think they're doing a terrible job, and I think it got
With
worse
no
when they
notes.
introduced all the financial stuff. And because of all the cluster of introducing the financial stuff, what ended up happening was they had to throw witnesses all willy-nilly in there that made no sense to anything. That one kid was testifying. I don't even know what the heck the point of his testimony was. I don't even know the kid's name. It was so irrelevant.
I don't even think he made it to the highlights because I don't even know who you're talking about.
He probably doesn't know either then. There was one of the other kids, one of the other friends of Paul, one of the other kids that had gone to the house and whatnot, and it just does it was, I don't even know, there was no point to his testimony. There's no point to the cross exam. It was just I don't even know what it was. She said tarp like material.
Oh, okay.
And then there was the semantics about what she actually said, because they were trying to make it like the defense didn't want this raincoat in, because that's not what she testified to. This wasn't found in Alex's house. Nobody's put it in the hands of Alex. Nobody has seen him with it, because she says she saw him with a tarp, but then the judge ends up letting it in because of the actual verbiage that's used about the tarp like, or exactly, and I'm not quoting it exactly, but however it was said by the caretaker. But I have so many issues with this. I have so many issues with this stupid raincoat.
Yeah.
I hope that they have some follow-up that makes it make sense, because I don't understand why this raincoat at his dad's house has anything to do with him. If they can't prove it was his, they can't prove that he ever had it. And
And where's the blue tarp? Where's the actual blue tarp?
Where's the blue tarp?
Where is the blue tarp?
Do you remember during the car accident? I think that's right. And I remember they said it was September 11th that something was happening with it. That's why I voted hung jury. I vote hung jury too.
Me
but
too.
I can't vote on my own poll. So.
Yep.
The question is, why did Alex even bring them to her house? Like the tarp or raincoat or whatever.
Oh, hey Shay. How are you?
I also
baby?
think it's kind of an issue when you have so many people with so many guns and so much hunting. And they also have like their own shooting range out at Moselle that I just don't. Putting gunshot residue on an item is not conducive to a guilty verdict when you have so much of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hi, Shay.
No Shay Benet.
So a blue tarp and his Sperry's and clothing are missing or no? That's a great question. I was going to look that up actually, and let's do it together. Because I do not know if his clothes were ever found. Those blue, the blah, 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 blah. I thought I still had it up. I guess I don't.
Okay, so is the tarp, that's what you're looking up now, T, do they actually have the actual tarp versus something that they
did not have the actual tarp at court. I can tell you that.
Okay.
That's what I know.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff.
And a like item. Yep, right, like Crime Sleuth said. It was because it was not packaged up as evidence. They introduced it as evidence, but it's not actually packaged like evidence is.
Okay.
But they don't ever talk about it being missing. Mm-hmm.
They said they found that tarp at Keith.
Did they find his blue shirt? I want to know, do they have his blue shirt, those khaki pants, and those brown Sperry's? Do they have those?
Jeannie says they do have the tarp. She saw them open
No,
it.
it's not the tarp.
That's something that okay.
That was not the tarp.
To show as like an example of what the tarp that they don't have would look like.
Mm-hmm. Hold on.
Oh, Shay, then you're extra good. You could take on another case then, babe.
What she got?
She got her hubby on this one, so she can make him take notes.
Catch up on the trail highlights. Well, if that's true, then he would have not been here because he should have done a much better job. It was a prop. Yeah, I'm going to find it, though. Hold on. I think this is it.
Michelle Shelley Smith said that he
It's over here. No, must be early then. Where the fudge is it?
That was?
yes, sir.
Okay.
It's Barbara A. Mixon.
Ms. Barbara Mixon?
Yes, sir.
So there's an opening.
Yeah, every now and then. Back to work at 7:45. Had to be there.
What happened?
Where the fudge is it?
Visitation after a funeral?
Yes,
Isn't that the plastic it's in? No, that's
Did
not
folks
it.
come over there then?
yes,
And was the family there then?
yes.
And during this repast visitation, where were you? What was your job during that? Or What were you doing during the visitation?
I was in the room with Miss Libby, back and forth.
And sometime that afternoon, did you see Alex Murdaugh?
Yes,
Okay. Tell the jury about that, please.
he came in the room,
You'd speak up, please, ma'am.
he came in the room and speak that, spoke like he always do.
And what did he tell you?
That he was sitting at the house. He was at the house.
Say it again.
He was at the house.
And I'm not 100% following you. He was telling you or saying to you that he was at the house?
Mhm.
When?
The night of the murders.
The night of the murder.
Yes.
What was he telling you about that he was at the house the night of the murder?
That he'd been there 30 to 40 minutes.
And just to be clear, what was the statement he said about how long he was here? Sleeping? And 412. Is that the same?
Yes, same bedroom, yes.
I don't know why I can't find the part with the flipping tarp. Like, this is dumb.
Let me see if.
I'll show you what's marked 411. Don't call that an answer. It states 411 for identification at this point. Do you see the blue object in the center?
Yes,
Does that appear to look like the object you've described?
yes,
You saying yes?
yes,
Is it blue?
it's blue.
Is it vinyl?
Yes,
That appears to be the same thing you saw the defendant holding this early morning hours when he came in the house. Is that correct?
it looks so, yes.
Let's just take 411 we'd offer at this point. Just out about asking. Did you ever see that blue thing unfolded when you were that morning, or you saw him carrying it?
It was unfolded
Okay, where'd you see it?
in the bedroom,
And where in the bedroom?
on the chair.
And again, I'm not clear. Was that in one?
This is when Jim brings
Good
it
afternoon,
up.
Ms. Smith.
Good afternoon.
We have met once or twice.
Okay. Did you work in your church while you were raising your
Yes,
family?
Okay, I'm gonna do this one more time, then I'm just gonna get irritated and not do it anymore. Because it's got to be right here. Because it's already out when Jim brings it out. Right?
Not deprived, but I can't help it sometimes.
I do. I feel really bad for her.
This lady.
Yeah, she's
Miss
completely
Jelly.
distraught.
Yeah, so I don't understand. I don't know. But it's pissing me off a little bit. He brings it out first. I know he does. I just can't. I don't know where, because then Jim brings it out in his cross.
Oh wait, what are they doing?
This is Jim with it on cross.
If we mark for identification purposes, Your Honor, exhibit
Hold on. No, I guess it isn't. Maybe it's not Jim.
a picture of a blue rain jacket.
Yeah,
correct?
picture of it, yes.
No way.
But has anyone at SLED or the Attorney General's office ever
Wait,
shown you a blue
it's
rain
wrong.
jacket?
No,
The defense brings it in.
Now, you saw Mr. Alec Murdaugh bring a tarp in, you said, right?
yes,
And I'm going to show you a
Hold
tarp. Which we mark for identification purposes, Your Honor, exhibit 86. Is this the type of tarp that Mr. Murdaugh came in to the Alameda house on the day that we're talking about?
yes,
Tarp like this that would maybe cover up a car. Is that right?
yes,
Any way to confuse this with a rain jacket?
no,
He was not carrying a rain jacket, was he?
no, it's balled up, I don't know.
And you said it was balled up, and it was balled in such a manner it did not look like there was a shovel handle, a gun, or anything. It's just balled up. Is that
Yes,
right?
correct,
Have I balled it up sort of correctly?
yes,
All right.
We have no objection to going in.
Your Honor, move exhibit 86, I think, and evidence. Now, when Alec left that day, this was laid out on Ms. Libby's retirement rocking chair, wasn't it?
yes,
And you had, and when you left for end of your shift that day, that's where it was, right?
Yes,
And you've never seen it since, correct?
correct.
Now, they showed you a picture, which is in evidence. Do you even know where that picture was taken in the house?
No. In the closet.
Do we have that picture?
I see that. So the defense ended up actually bringing in this fake tarp. The prosecution doesn't bring a tarp at all. They only bring the raincoat.
Can you see that, Ms. Smith?
Yes,
Do you know where that is in, or even if it is in Ms. Libby's house?
I can say because I don't go in the closets.
So you don't even recognize the closet, is that right?
Correct.
And have you ever even been upstairs in Ms. Libby's house?
Twice,
2 times over how many years?
3 years.
2 times in 3 years. And do you know where Murdaugh went when he went upstairs on the day that he brought a blue tarp in the house?
No.
Now, you mentioned that this day that he came over was about 3 days after Mr. Randolph Murdaugh's funeral. Is that right?
Yes,
3 days after. So now you're looking.
And it was early in the morning?
yes,
So, and do you remember that Mr. Randolph's funeral being on a Sunday?
yes,
So then it would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that week. Is that right?
yes, that's correct.
And is that the morning that you said that you thought you saw a bruise on his forehead?
Yes,
So it was Wednesday after Mr. Randolph's funeral?
I'm thinking I can't remember so long. I can't remember.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But so they don't have the tarp there. That's my point. Now, is the tarp lost? I have no idea. But the tarp is not there. Because that's not the tarp. That's the fake tarp. As they want to keep saying, the fake forge. That's a fake tarp. So, Jeannie, you think that he had the raincoat wrapped up into the tarp. So he brings the tarp in wrapped in with wrapped with the raincoat. Court is back finally. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because then still my question comes to, why didn't they test the tarp? Is it not typical for Alex to bring a tarp or a raincoat to his mom's house? So why did he? Well, that's a great question. Where was he coming from? The whole thing doesn't make sense to me, to be honest with you. I have such an issue with this whole raincoat. The whole thing doesn't make sense to me. I think anything's going to happen to the caretaker. I think she was just afraid to testify. That's my opinion. I know people think that like she's actually scared of like the family. I don't know if I feel that way. I think she was just, this is not her cup of tea at all. It's clear to me she saw a tarp, especially since she saw the chair covered with it shortly thereafter. How the state has managed to add in a raincoat just because they found one in a closet is astounding. That is where I'm at. But because the case is circumstantial, it's up to the jury to decide if they can match all of it together or if they can't. It's on them. So the judge, and I think it was Jen Liu, when we were talking, and she said that this is most likely, maybe it wasn't, that this is most likely this judge's last trial. So it's easier to put everything in and have it overturned on appeal than to have him, put stuff or not put stuff in there and have the guy walk. She could lose everything for testifying. Well, it doesn't seem like she has much of anything. I mean, the woman's working all day, and then she goes over there and works all night. Hey, Angelina.
Hey, Angelina, how are you?
Well, that is kind of a loaded question, Joe, because no, I don't think that all of this happens if the boat accident didn't happen. Because I think it's all tied together, whether he's guilty or not. His timing was all a bit off, not his norm that night.
That's the stuff that would make me go, but that's LFT's been on this since like the very beginning, so she gets all of the personalities in this.
Right, but if it was after the funeral or Paul and Maggie's service, a tarp or a raincoat wouldn't seem off.
Yep.
That's true. It wouldn't, because it was torrential rain. Okay, but there's no. But that's what I'm saying. But who's gonna do anything to her? Who's left? Randy, John Marvin, Buster. I mean, all the power people are kind of out of power at this point. Brittany had a good point. I don't know where it was. It's almost like he's trying to bribe her into saying he was there 30 to 40 minutes by telling her he would help her wedding and school. I agree. I agree. I mean, I can see where that would be concluded as a juror. Maybe he was able to clean off the outside of the raincoat, but not so much the inside. Well, he wasn't. There was 14 particles of GSR were found on the outside of the raincoat. So he didn't clean the raincoat at all. So now we have to think, if he's wearing this raincoat out in the torrential rain, there most likely would not have been much GSR on the outside of it because the rain would have washed it away. Now a tarp would probably make more sense. Thank you, Northern Light. Why else? You know how I feel about Scott Peterson, HES.
T, I swear you jinked me. Now they're doing work outside my house, but in the back, right next to the
Really?
window, literally. I'm sorry if you guys hear anything.
Why does he go visit his mom to talk to her while she's asleep? Seems odd to me for such a long drive, unless he's using it as his alibi. I don't know. He's never, I mean, one, does he know that she's asleep? Two, does if your mom has Alzheimer's and struggles with even knowing who you are when you're there, does it matter when you go see her, just to go see her and make sure she's okay? Her husband's in the hospital. I don't know. I've never been in that circumstance to know. Like I said, I'm also curious on how many times when his dad's in the hospital, does he go there?
Right. Like, what's his norm? What would be his regular with
Right.
that? Is there anything out of?
Dad's in the hospital, I'm going to visit mom. If
Right.
that's the case every time, then it's not abnormal to me. It's possible he held the gun inside the raincoat, not wearing it to keep the GSR off his hands. Possible, but he does end up with GSR on his hands. But they're concluding that too, or the defense is trying to conclude that that's because he went back to the house and got the shotgun to protect himself. My mom doesn't sleep. Actually, nighttime is the most eventful time of the day for my mom. It's when I eat with her, talk, etc. Aww. 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. But you take it because that's when mom wants to do it. That's what you do. I agree. Maybe if he stays a little longer, but I think those things got his mind and body racing. When my mom was in the hospital, I'd go visit my dad to keep him company and vice versa, to check on them since they were alone during that time. Did you go late at night? Did you go at odd hours? Supposedly close with dad and mom, not so much. So did AM take from house or temporarily stash there? Very sus. Yeah, I would like to know where the raincoat came from. If they could prove that the raincoat came from him, I think that would be much better. If they can't prove the raincoat came from him, I don't know how that sticks. Especially when they didn't test the damn tarp.
I don't understand the whole tarp situation. I don't.
I stay-at-home mom detective. My mom had Alzheimer's and she never knew what time it was, let alone know let alone know who I was. She thought I was a nurse most of the time. Aww.
Such a hard thing to watch your parents go through. You know, they're the ones that teach you everything, and you're growing up, and you know, and then you see them kind of just, you know, that part of them starts to slowly fade, and it's heartbreaking.
He didn't go that day, but it was already late. This is what we were talking about a little earlier, Curious Cat, too, is what were they even planning on going that night? Or was it just come and stay here and we'll go visit mom and dad? All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not there yet. Let me look at the poll. I want to see the poll.
Check the poll out.
Let's pull it back over here. Let's see the poll. Ooh, we got 60 guilty, 10 not guilty, and 30 hung jury. 30. I'm wondering if that's the route it's going to go.
Yeah.
You know dang well if it's a hung jury, they're going to retry him. Well, Stevie Kelly went over all of the digital evidence from the phones, and I don't see anything very suspicious about the communication between Maggie and Alec. I don't see it being odd. The other thing that I want to bring up before we get off and I have to go pick up kids from school is, you know, the big rumor when I started listening to this was that Maggie had contacted a divorce attorney and that they were separating, right? Like that was a big thing, that she was staying at the beach house because they were separating.
Okay.
When they went over all the phone data, why did they not talk about her contacting an attorney? If she contacted a divorce attorney, wouldn't that have come up right then in her phone data?
Exactly.
Or in her digital data? They weren't sleeping under the same roof, but apparently, according to people who were close to the family, that's common, that she would not stay there in the summer because of the yellow flies, that she liked to be at the beach house, and so she stayed at the beach house because she liked to be at the beach. But Maggie to her sister-in-law and months prior to other people. So here's another point, is her family is on the defense's witness list. The only one that is and Buster was actually on the prosecution and the defense, but now he's only on the defense. John Marvin is on the defense witness list. Randy is on the prosecution's witness list. I love sleeping and hearing the ocean. I totally agree. So if she was actually going for a divorce, I don't know why that information hasn't actually come out in court yet with all the digital evidence. That's all I'm going to say, because it doesn't make sense to me. It seems more likely now with the testimony that it's that they weren't actually going for a divorce. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, it was all over South Carolina local news that Maggie went to a divorce lawyer, which is crazy, because as we watch the Idaho 4 case unfold and we see all this crazy stuff, sources that's all over the news that we know isn't true, but yet it's all over mainstream media, but we know it's not true. Most cases are circumstantial, because direct evidence is you have an eyewitness, you have him on camera, you have the recording, that would be the most direct evidence that places him at the crime scene. But that's the rest of everything is all circumstantial, and circumstantial just means you have to be able to figure out, okay, so if I touch my computer, you can prove I touched my computer, right? But you can't prove when I touched my computer. Now, if my cleaning lady had just come in, and I don't have a cleaning lady, but if my cleaning lady had just come in and she had just cleaned my computer, and then all of a sudden there was a murder that happened right here and my fingerprints are on it, then you can infer that I touched the computer after the cleaning lady was here and that I was around when the murders took place. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I believe he is guilty, but I'm afraid they can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt. That's exactly what I think. And I don't actually know if he's guilty. I don't know.
Right. We don't know, but we're just
Not
going
a
off of the.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, just a little bit that I know I've seen in the trial so far. I'm just not a reasonable doubt yet. That's all. I'm hoping that there's some type of something that they have waiting for us to have that big boom at the end, and maybe it'll make some other things make a little bit more sense. Because
Curious guy, that's my thought too. They would have made sure that was out there. CB Kill says her will was made to power of attorney to Randolph in a crossed out typed document and handwritten over to P. Randolph Sr. into Randolph Sr. M. Randolph Sr. M. Randolph Sr. dead 3 days apart, now who is entitled to her estate, AM. Carolina. You think most of the information in Idaho is untrue? I thought about doing a live on Idaho and just going over all the new stuff that's come out that I just think is horseshit. But I don't know. Maybe I will.
you can try if you want. We haven't done Idaho in a.
There's just so much rumors in Idaho for that. This is when I get to the point in a case where it drives me crazy that I feel like you spend more time correcting bad info or trying to figure out if the info is even true.
Right. Yep. Franny says I feel.
Oh, look at you, Britt. Britt's on a roll today.
She's gonna do that dinner ideas.
No, CB, comment all you want to. It helps me. It helps me think.
Yes.
It helps me process. I know. The more you guys conversate with me about it, the more I can go, okay, that you're right this way or you're right that way, and it helps me.
Yeah. This wasn't a case that we were actually even going to really cover, and then trial came up, and it's kind of like where we are. T's been digging into it way more than I have, but you guys in chat you really are. You help us so much, just understanding even things that we're trying to piece together, just being up here with you guys. We're thankful.
It's a good point, Crime Sleuth. And so far, the state's only brought up the time it was uploaded. They haven't detailed the metadata to see when and where it was actually recorded. If the defense doesn't, then it's an issue. But my point is why would they have not brought up the conversations as the person who downloaded the information could read through the information and who they were contacting and whatnot? Why would that have not come up then? And then to the second point of timeline purposes, if you have somebody else that's going to be doing it, you've now lost the connection by putting all the other crap in the middle of it. So either way, it still doesn't really work. And I don't know. I think the prosecution would have been really hardcore that Maggie was filing for divorce. Maggie was meeting with divorce attorneys, like in the Larry Maletti case. We know that she had an appointment with an attorney. And that has been a theme throughout the entire thing, is that him seeing that she was getting a divorce was the cause of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, hi, BG.
BG, how are you?
Okay, so before we leave, let me end this poll. And we'll be back before this date, but I'm still going to do it anyway. And this one's going to be for... This one's for Michelle.
Come here.
Okay, this will be the last poll, and then we'll go. I can go get a little tiny human from school.
Get the babies.
So can you see the poll, Michelle, or no?
Yes. Oh, thank you.
My Philly girl over here.
There we go. I love you guys. That's it. That's it. Here we go with that.
Cowboy fans don't root for the Eagles.
We already know this, okay? We already know. Guess what? We've had a few converters. We have had a few converters. You shush.
Oh, there's Philly. He heard me calling him. See?
He did. He did. What are you calling me?
Commander Ender Turkey said, Eagles all the way.
That's it.
It's the Niners still, damn it. You know, my husband's a Niners fan, and as soon as Brock Purdy got hurt, he just kind of was like, "Yep, that's it."
Mm-hmm. My dad's a Niners fan. Loves and he always has. I'm like, when it boiled down to that was a hard one.
I'll be going for the Chiefs if anybody cares.
You know, we actually have that. There's so many Chief fans here that there's an actual bar that's not only named after them, but like they go there and they hang out there every Sunday or whatever. Basically they kind of shut it down, and they're not going to do like their Super Bowl party like the other bars are doing. I'm like, that kind of sucks though.
It's
like,
only for
let
the
them
Chiefs
enjoy.
fans.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Like dead in the middle of South Philly, there's apparently.
Well, I think they have to, for safety purposes, they have to put all the Chiefs fans in one bar.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Now they're shutting that down too. I'm like, oh goodness, like this city is just like.
Joe wants to know if you're in Philly.
Yes, I am. I sure am. I'm in South Philly, so I'm right in like the heart of it all. Live's not far from me. I can look out my window and see the link right there. But we have like an actual like Chiefs bar. Like it's all themed out and in the Chiefs stuff, everything like that's like, and they're all fans of theirs. I'm like, of all the places in the world, we happen to have like that bar. We don't have like a Steelers bar or like a, any other team bar. It just so happens to be the Chiefs bar. OCB Cal, I see you. I see you.
Like Brittany said that she's going for whatever side you're going for, Michelle.
That's right, Brittles. Love you.
She's like, go team, woo woo.
Just hit that green and black, babe. Hit that green and black. Oh, Northern Light. My cousin is still just she's with you. My chiefers.
So my 6-year-old, it just started. I think I told you guys this before. My 6-year-old is like everything football. He absolutely loves football. He eats, sleeps, dreams about it. Talks about Brock Purdy in his sleep. It's bad. He loves football. So we signed him up for flag football. It's called Friday Night Lights, and he had his first practice yesterday. And they give you a team name, and it's all like for pro football. And if they have too many teams, they'll start with college teams. But so he's on the New England Patriots, and he's like, that's fine. So I don't know why I have to be on the Patriots. They suck.
He was like, wait, what? I love his whole way with it. He's such a boy with it, and it's the cutest thing ever. Oh, thank you, Sizzle.
I'm
the same, Brit. I only half know what I'm talking about or looking at.
Oh man, well, don't sit next to a kid who knows more about football than you. So I mean, there's a lot of Googling going on sometimes. I mean, I've always watched football, but I'm not like, he's like, what is like when the ref waves their arms like a bird or whatever. He's like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. Like I gotta look that up unless my husband's home.
Yeah. It's safe when there's a guy around for the most part. I don't know all the technical stuff, and I don't actually like really care too much until we start doing good. I'm one of those. Like I'm not.
Yeah, so he's a New England Patriot, and he's like, it's fine, but I don't know why I have to be a Patriot because he likes the Chargers and the Jaguars.
Oh, I keep envisioning him in his little helmet, and it has to be so cute. He is all boy.
Ooh, crime sleuthing. Wow. So if your car connects your cell phone and you receive your calls, messages on screen, your car saves them too, according to a witness on stand now testifying on vehicle data. Yes. Well, so the computer system of your car holds everything. So ironically, like my husband actually went this morning and got the oil in my car changed, and they said your wife's battery's low in her like my key fob. So your wife's battery's low. And he didn't have my key fob. He had his key fob to my car. So
that's crazy. Oh, hey,
BR the star.
Our star.
Murdaugh's gonna be in trouble with this witness. Okay, I'll have to start listening. I haven't I know they came back to court, so I'm gonna take off and go get him from school. I don't know if I want to do Idaho because, man, I just feel like people are either going to believe it or they're not going to believe it. And me saying one way or the other isn't going to change anybody's mind. I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. So we'll see. I'm working. I've got a couple of things that I'm working on.
Yeah, we got some fun
I want to talk about. There's a couple like more recent cases that I want to talk about too. Jen Lou, check my messages. Okay, I'll check my messages. I'm not good at that anymore. My Messenger's kind of a mess at the moment, and I really suck at Messenger anymore.
She's getting there. She's getting very organized behind the scenes, and I'm loving it. So it's good. It's all good. Let her do it.
Yeah, KW, they're back in the courtroom. They've been back for about 30, 40 minutes now, I think. All right, you guys take care of you, and thank you guys all for being here. Go listen to the trial if you want to, or wait till tonight's highlights, and then we'll be back soon.
Yep, we love you guys. Have a good week.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, my lovely mi amor.
Love you, face.